Hey guys. Okay, so I just want to um, talk a little bit about everything that's going on and just share my experiences. And I really want to hopefully like share what I've been through, but also I'm sharing some wisdom that I've learned from this and just about what's going on in the whole country with just everything. So, what I'm talking about is if you can understand like something very important is there is absolutely a spiritual war going on. And what you accept into your own mind will grow and flourish and manifest in your life. And I have had a very difficult 10 years with my whole spiritual awakening. And I found it so interesting that when I first started going through an awakening, which was really more like me just questioning what's happening in the world and not being in agreement with those things anymore. And this was about 12 years ago. And I started kind of just opening myself up to different possibilities, different ideas. And when I did that, I got met with a lot of resistance from family members. And what was so hard for me is I listened, I agreed with those family members. And but I didn't agree in my heart, like, but I agreed mentally. And what ended up happening is I rejected my own self. And that became the worst form of abuse that I could have ever endured. It was literal hell. That is what hell is. I was reading the Four Agreements, and this is why I'm doing this because so much of the first two chapters was like everything that I've been through. And the wisdom from this is unimaginable. And if you look at what else is going on in the world, like politically, you can see where people are doing this. And it's really, you've got to open your mind because what happens is you get trapped in this belief system, and then no matter whether someone shows you proof or not, you 100% believe that it's true no matter what. So I just want to give an example of Minnesota. Okay, and you have a mayor and a governor who literally have compared the federal government to Hitler, to the Nazis, to the Gestapo. They continue to say that ICE just goes and randomly picks up people on the street and they disappear. Okay. That's what the Gestapo did do. How much fear do you think that is putting into people? And I want to say this because one, it's absolutely not true. Like, ICE is a law enforcement agency, and I have been on the other side of law enforcement. They have total control. Don't get me wrong. It's not fun, but they have total control. Here's the reality. They have total control. And yes, they can basically put whatever, but if you're a law abiding citizen, then you don't have any fear. This is the problem. And what's happening is they continue to keep planting these seeds of fear. What do you think makes people get up and want to fight the government? That's insanity to me. But I understand it because they continue to tell you that these government agencies are trying to harm you. Anyone who agrees with that or doesn't know, or maybe is like just wants to believe their government leaders, is going to accept that agreement into their mind. Okay. So it's kind of a little bit difficult to understand. And I will go over it with my own personal examples of how it happened to me because I didn't know how to not agree with someone in my own mind. Okay, so let me just give you an example. I know so many people are suffering from this and just want to like not be so fired up when this stuff comes up. Like, seriously, it is controlling you and it will kill you eventually. Like, look at the two people in Minnesota. It will kill you. So, if you get that mind controlled to where you believe that you have to fight for justice, and I am not saying it's right or wrong, I totally understand why you would. That's the whole thing. I have compassion for it because our minds are that powerful. And if you believe that our president is trying to take away your rights, which he cannot do, even if they were to try to do that, we have a system of justice where you get a civil rights attorney and you plead a case and you win. It's like the way that they keep saying is that he can just take these things from you and you have no way of constitutionally fighting. And that is such a lie because we have a judicial system. The only way to have a dictator is to not even have a judicial system. Like, they just do what they want and there is no law. Here we have laws. Like, when you think about it more rationally, you're like, oh, okay, I kind of understand that now. But, like, for instance, okay, the four agreements, in the very first part of it, it says that um, people plant seeds in our mind. The human mind is, okay, so this is a quote. The human mind is like a fertile ground where seeds are continually being planted. The seeds are opinions, ideas, and concepts. You plant a seed, a thought, and it grows. Unless you constantly or you disagree with it in your mind, your own mind. Okay, this is where the spiritual battle comes. You have to disagree in your mind, or else it literally puts shackles on you and you're in hell. All right. I just, because I don't want to see people being shot on like live on camera. That's crazy to me. Although it happens, like if you go up against law enforcement and you're trying to resist them, to fight them, to stop them, that's bad news for you. But why? I understand the why behind it. It is because you believe that there is some injustice that you need to fight for. What injustice? The ones that these government leaders have continually planted these seeds of fear. You got to hear me on this. Those will destroy you. And they keep reiterating it. You know, the other day, I live in New Mexico, and they're mostly Democrat um, senators and congresswomen, congressmen. They all put out the exact same posts at the exact same time saying the exact same thing. Come on. There's no authenticity there. That's bizarre. You have got, now, I lean Republican, okay? Just because to me it is much more common sense. But I used to be a Democrat. I'm very strongly a Democrat. I cannot even, I'm telling you, these Democrats put out the same posts saying the exact same message at the exact same time. And I wrote on all of them and I was like, you guys have no original, authentic thought. You're just spewing the exact same message that the other three senators of New Mexico are saying at the exact same time. It is to reinforce the seeds of fear in your own mind. Stop. Now you have the power. You may be like, oh my gosh, like, because what that will create inside of you is literal hell. That hell feels like fire raging inside of you to where you feel like you need to do something about it, to the point that you get up, you show up at protests, you fight against law enforcement, and you are the one who goes to jail. You are the one who gets hurt. You are the one who dies. That's crazy to me. It's crazy to a lot of people, but understanding the why behind it, you know, there's so much to say about Hitler. And if you study Hitler, Trump is not Hitler, okay? Please. That's crazy. The man killed over 6 million Jews in the gas chamber. Please stop. But he did it through planting seeds of fear that they were going to lose their German heritage or whatever. And that the Jews were infiltrating and being, they were going to take over Germany. So every time that this stuff was going out, constantly, consistently, they're literally planting seeds of fear to where the Germans began to agree with it. Okay? So that is absolutely not what law enforcement and Trump and the Republicans and all that do. I find it completely the other way around. You could argue both, but this is where you have to have discernment. It's this whole political thing is what's really getting bad, because it's, if you see it infiltrating down into all kinds of areas. Okay, like I said, the New Mexico leaders put out the exact same messages. They're not authentic and they're full of fear that they're coming after you. They're going to take your rights. They're going to do all this. Now, if you see on the other side of things, right? Let's go when Biden was president. There were so many things that I did not agree with his policies, with things he was doing, with an open border. Never agree to that. That's just crazy talk. Because sure, you let in people who need help, but you're also letting in people who want to harm. The purpose of a border, the purpose of ICE is to keep out those who want to harm and let in people legally who are just coming because they want a better life. That is a wonderful thing. Okay? It is like your mind. You have to do the same thing with your mind. And if you don't, this is where the problem comes in. Okay? That is the key to staying out of this fiery hell. So let's go back. Okay. Biden's president. You don't see Republicans destroying, protesting. You absolutely have a right to peaceful protest. Don't get me wrong. We're talking about destroying property, vandalizing, blowing up Tesla places, anything the Democrats don't like. They send a message of fear to get people to literally try to fight. And what I am saying with that is it is totally mind control. And it will take over you. And the only way that you can stop it is by not agreeing with it. So I will give you my example. And I'm just saying this because we have seen people being shot by law enforcement. And that's a reason why. That is literally like they have every right to do that because law enforcement has every right to protect what they're doing. They have immunity, people. Like, you have to get this. Are the Democrats telling you that? That, oh yeah, be careful because if you push it too far, uh, they have basically immunity with their job, mostly immunity. Okay. Meaning if they're defending themselves in any sort of situation like that, the person coming, the aggressor coming at them is at fault, period. And they have a high standard with that because no one would want to do that job. It is extremely dangerous. And if people were continually prosecuted for doing their job, they wouldn't have law enforcement. So they have to do that, okay? It makes good sense. And it is safety for our country. It is protection for the borders and doing things legally the right way. Keep people safe. There is the truth of the whole matter is there is always benevolent and malevolent forces, good and bad. Okay. And same things with the thoughts that are going on in your mind. If you don't know, or you act naive, or you are um, being like, oh, everybody is love. Yeah, no. Okay. You have to be able to guard your heart with everything. What does that mean? It means that your heart, your love of things must be guarded from outside influence at all times. I didn't understand how much I love the United States until I have seen the complete opposite of the love for the United States. We have freedoms here that not many countries have. And I absolutely want to protect those freedoms. There are people out there, though, that would want to come and stop us from having these freedoms. They have tried blowing things up, they've tried bombing things, they've tried terrorism. But what they are literally doing now is they understand that they can use the power of the word to create fear, and that will generate a civil war. It will generate you to pick them as leaders so that they can turn this country into a socialist country, which is not going to happen. If you study or open your eyes even a little bit and research yourself about what socialism does to other countries, it literally enslaves the people. It is not good. It is not freedom. Sorry, it's just not. And it doesn't work. Capitalism is the way, okay? But these seeds that have been planted, which I understand, because our mind works like this. Like, you're not like, oh, I'm weak. I used to think that because of what happened to me. I used to think, oh my God, how could I have not known that this would happen to me? And I didn't. I didn't know how my mind actually worked. And now that I know how my mind works and I know how to disagree with those things now I'm free again. And I can help you to disagree with those things as well. It's, we all have the power to create our lives the way we want. And I mean everything in it. Everything. But you have to know what you're agreeing to and what you have to say out loud. I do not agree with that. You have to say it, because if you don't, that's how all of our minds works. The seeds are planted in your mind. Okay. Jesus talks about this in the Bible, and it is 100% true. And those things will literally start to manifest in your life. So, for instance, I told you that I had a spiritual awakening, which I was just starting to question things that didn't really seem to make sense to me. It was like my eyes were being opened to a different world, a world where I believe everyone can create heaven on earth, where I don't have to struggle paycheck to paycheck, where I have peace in my life, where I have plenty of abundance. So all of that didn't make sense to me at the time. And I started questioning things. And like I said, when I did that, I had people that came against me. And I was much more spiritual than I was religious, but I didn't really know about religion. I knew that there was, what they said was God and the devil and all this stuff, but I didn't really understand it. And honestly, I just felt more drawn to spirituality in the sense of personal development, but I also loved tarot cards. And I loved the idea that sometimes your mind doesn't understand what you need to know for your own healing, but yet when you pull these cards and intuitively look at them, you can start to understand what your intuitive self is telling you. That was exciting to me because I knew that what my limiting beliefs, what the conditioning the world had put on me was telling me didn't make sense anymore to what I was feeling in my heart. And so I really enjoyed those for my own personal development and to get closer to my own intuition, to understand messages that God was bringing to me. Um, Journaling. I loved to journal. And when I would journal, I would have these amazing spiritual downloads. And I still do. But, um, and I also loved the crystal scene because, for one, to me, I was born in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I absolutely love the gemology of Santa Fe. Like there's something so magical about that world. And they're very into it. And I always loved it, especially just the beautiful, huge amethysts that people in Santa Fe would have in their homes. And I would just be so amazed that the earth could create something so beautiful, but also so rough. Like a lot of these on the outside look like just huge, awful rocks, right? But inside was that amazing crystal. And there was something about it to me that just made sense. It was just beautiful. And when you have like um, certain minerals of the earth, if you understand grounding, placing your feet through the grass to pull out that negative energy and to open your eyes to the world of nature, that's where crystals came in for me. That made sense. It's like putting my feet on the ground and feeling something that is not in my mind, it's in my body, it's in my heart. Anyway, I got a lot of pushback from people, specifically my dad, and he was more religious. And he told me that reading tarot cards or following or my love of crystals was following the devil. And I did not disagree with him because I didn't know. Because I didn't know. And I was like, I said to him, I don't believe that. But the problem with me just saying I don't believe that was that he said something else because I said, the only thing that I feel when I'm in my own personal meditation and journaling and maybe using tarot cards to understand my intuition, the only thing I feel is warmth and love in my own self. And he said to me, well, that's what the devil would want you to believe, that you're following something that you love, and that's how he gets you. And that scared the living shit out of me. He planted a seed of fear so freaking large into my mind because I was like, wait, what? What do you mean? You're telling me that the devil tricks you by making you feel love and happiness and joy that you're following? I thought those were the fruits of the spirit. Oh, okay. I do know a little bit about religion. And then obviously I threw myself into it after what happened, but that seed manifested. It took about 3 months. I think it was about 3 months. Yeah, no, maybe a little less. And I had a complete emergency spiritual crisis on my hand, and it fully manifested and it almost killed me. And I'm not kidding you when I say it almost killed me. I was heartbroken. And that is the same thing that's going on in the political landscape. But the understanding of it, understanding how you have to not agree with this stuff of letting these seeds of fear go into your mind because it does manifest in your life. And I understand how much you believe it because when this seed of fear manifested in my life, oh my gosh, okay, don't cry. I believed that I was evil. I believed that I was following the devil. I believed that I had gone against God. And everything in my mind was confused. I couldn't even think anymore. All of my will was gone. I had no more understanding of life. And it took me years and years and years to break that agreement. And it came from my dad, someone that I really wanted in my life because he wasn't in my life. And that was the problem. I didn't want to, I wanted to believe that he understood more spiritually than I did because he was reading the Bible. And the funny thing is, oh my gosh, sorry. The funny thing was that because I didn't disagree with him, that manifested in my life. And the moment that I remember in my mind the moment that I agreed with it. I remember, and I agreed with it, and I went into complete panic mode because I believed I was possessed by evil. And I was in so much fear that that night, as I was running from what I thought was the devil, and I literally was running from Morongo back to Cypress, California. I was so afraid that the blood vessels in my eyes had burst and it looked like I was crying blood. And that's how it felt inside because I had rejected my own heart. And I know that I had agreed to it. But what hurt so bad was that it came from my own dad. And this is, it did hurt. But there is a bright side. That bright side is that I never would have learned how to break these agreements off if I hadn't experienced that. Because right after that, I moved to Washington to be near him because I felt safe. I didn't feel safe anymore. I felt like I was possessed by evil and the devil had gotten me and I was in hell, which it was in my mind. And so I moved up there and I felt very safe. I was so afraid I was having, oh, it was a mental health crisis for certain. Um, but I believed I had to fight this injustice. I believed I needed to learn about the Bible, learn everything it said, so that I could be God's warrior because I had gone against God and that's what I believed. And I'd never wanted to do that because there's something inside of me that always knew that I knew something about God um, from a little girl. And it was because of all the spiritual gifts I had. And the spiritual gifts that I had were incredible. They were insight, they were downloads from a little girl about situations. Um, I don't know necessarily if I would call them psychic, but the dreams that I would have dreams where I knew that passed on loved ones had come to visit me and told me things they needed. My grandma, and I knew it was her. It wasn't her dead, it was her fully alive. It's like these dreams that I have, they're different than normal dreams, and I know it is them. And she wanted me to make sure her dogs were safe. And I trusted it. And I called my dad and I was like, where are her dogs? And he doubted me, when I said, I know that grandma was speaking to me in my dream, absolutely 100%. And he said, well, I'm sure you think she was speaking to you, but it was just a dream. She's passed on and blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. But again, I didn't disagree with that. And now I 1000% disagree with it because these gifts that I was given by God have literally healed my heart, helped me, like everything that I am with these spiritual gifts. I had disagreed with them because of someone who was religious and told me that they weren't right. And the funny thing so let me go back. I get into talking so much, but I know how important this is right now for people. Um, I when I sorry, I just lost my train of thought because I hear my grandma right now, and she's just telling me she's proud of me and that I'm doing a good job because she was very important to me. Sorry, I didn't disagree with my dad, and because again, like I didn't really know at that time. I was like 17 years old. I didn't really know if that was a gift from God or if it was a dream. And so I didn't say anything. And I began to doubt my gifts. Now I fully disagree with everything he said, and I 1000% know it was her. Because my mom has passed away, and there's still time she comes to me. And when she comes to me, it is different. It is a meeting between that person and I, and it's so incredibly clear and vivid and colorful. And not only can I, it's like they're giving me a message. Um, and it's so one on one. It's not like they're just there in the background. There are times where I have dreams with my mom, and sometimes she'll be in the background, but these are different. It is this gift is like, and it's an understanding, it's a knowing, and it's a message. It can be for me, it can be for someone else, but I don't usually share them anymore because of rejection that I've gotten from people, and I don't agree with that either because that causes you to reject yourself. And so I want to tell you what there's a lot of people that are in our government who understand mind control very well. Um, and that's because a lot of higher ranking military people, definitely government, they understand how that works. Okay. And if someone is constantly planting seeds of fear or doubt, these are lower vibrational energies. You do not take those on. You do not agree with those. And unfortunately, the reason I can no longer even stand to hear anything coming out of the Democratic Party is because I feel it. See, I have another very powerful spiritual gift where you can say these words, but I feel inside the truth. And everything they say doesn't match any proof or any action. It is all just complete words. And usually it sparks this fear inside of me that makes no sense. And I don't agree with it. That's cult behavior. And like I said, when you have my New Mexico three senators saying the exact same, putting the exact same post at the exact same time, and you may not believe me right now because you have been so infiltrated. But if you watch the news, if you had trust in your Democratic leaders, which I did, I lived in California and I liked Gavin Newsom literally until the pandemic. And when I watched with my eyes what he was doing, but saying something completely different to the people, I knew he was a snake. Dude, that man is the greasiest, slimiest sleazeball in the world. Please, how is California still voting for him? I don't even know. I cannot stand it because, dude, he literally was arresting people at the beach who were out there surfing. And I'm talking about surfing by themselves. Can you please get this? There would be nobody else in Huntington Beach. And he is arresting a lone surfer out on the beach because they didn't follow his orders. It was crazy. And then he was at the French Laundry in a closed room with like 20 high ranking pharmaceutical executives. This is all during the pandemic time. None of them were wearing masks. He was paying for all of their dinners, which I've heard it's over $1,000 a plate. Yet he's arresting lone surfers out there. That was insanity to me. And that showed me that that man is a complete liar. And I just want to shout out to, uh, oh my gosh, I'm going to forget his name. He just decided to run for mayor in Los Angeles County. His house was burnt down. He's famous. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I do know your name. I cannot think of it right now. But I love what he's doing. He's running for mayor and he's literally speaking the truth, trying to help people to see what they have done to create this division. Okay. Now, Trump was a celebrity. They all loved him until he decided to run for office because it was like he was exposing the truths that they didn't want you to see. And so they used every single seed of fear to get you to hate him. And if you see the manifestation in the world, it is completely divided. I cannot even believe it. It is so insane. But it's the only person that it's hurting is you. I have no hate or ill will towards any Democrat. I don't agree with you, and that is okay. I understand what you believe is literally, and the reason you're so hateful about it and so passionate about it is because of these seeds of fear they've planted in you. I want you to hear that. I understand why. I'm not going to go against you. I understand you. I was so implanted with seeds of fear about my own spirituality, which was so much the wisdom from this book. Like, I can't even tell you. Like, I'm reading it and I'm like, oh my God, like, I understand this. Not because it's a book, because I've lived it. And now I know how to break off the agreements from the fear. That's what puts, okay. I don't know if I read this part in the book to you, but it's how you know that you are feeling fear. It says it's a fire that grows inside of you that is literally fear, jealousy, anger, greed. Hold on, I'll find it. Okay. It says, if we compare the dream of human society with the description of hell that religions all around the world have, I don't know this word, promulgated. Okay. We find they are exactly the same. Hold on, Zoe. Religions say that hell is a place of punishment, a place of fear, pain, and suffering, a place where the fire burns you. It says that fire is generated by emotions that come from fear. Whenever we feel the emotions of anger, jealousy, envy, or hate, we experience a fire burning within us. Okay, I have felt that so much, especially when, oh, okay, so I moved up to Washington and I threw myself into religion because I had to understand what happened to me. And I read the Bible, and I'm telling you, and I was under an amazing pastor who I love so much. And he mentored me. I was like his assistant. And he taught me so much about Jesus and about the message that did not make sense to me what my dad had told me. It was like the complete opposite, right? Like the most, I think it's like the most read or the most Jesus's most quoted thing in the Bible is fear not. Do you hear that? Fear nothing. No fear. But what I experienced was literally my dad putting the most fear in my mind. But Jesus saying, fear nothing. Fear nothing. That means you don't fear tarot cards. You don't fear oracle cards. You don't fear anything. You don't fear crystals that come from the earth. Like these things have gotten so distorted that you literally create fire in people that is burning them alive. It's hell. However, you have the power. Unfortunately, though, until it's taken me years to understand this, until you finally like understand that you're the one who agreed to it, now you can be the one who does not agree to it. That is what you have to understand. So anywhere that you're feeling this fire, if you feel that fire come up in you, that's when you feel like you need to fight, you need to destroy, you need to harm, you need to kill, you need to get on social media and tell somebody about it. Trust me, I still do it too. Okay. I'm just saying, like, I'll talk about this, but I will call out lies like all day because I'm just like, why? Stop it. You know, when then when there was no political stuff going on, it was because politicians were just politicians. They were not activists. Okay? Stop it. Nobody cared. They would fight their policy, but it was not this. Like, hear me. They will destroy you with this. They're getting you to believe that the opposite side is the ones coming after your rights. They're putting fear into you to believe that they have some way to take things from you. That is a lie, a total lie. And why I resonate more with the Republican side is because they don't do that. They're authentic in their posts. They say what they feel. They're not word for word exactly the same with these seeds of fear that are going in you. They say, like, look at this situation. I mean, they are much more logical. And also, the thing is, like, when they say things, I don't feel that inside of, I just have a very good discernment. I have a gift of discernment. And I cannot tell you how amazing it's been. However, I have felt this with both sides on religion. When I was more spiritual and when I was more religious, I felt like I needed to save someone on the other side. Like I, and there were times I did exactly what my dad did to other people. I was just spewing out that fear to other people. I need to tell you how evil tarot cards are. I need to tell you this. I need to tell you how evil. And I was planting the seeds of fear now. I am no better. Trust me. Okay. Our mind does this. So this is how our mind works. Once that seed of fear has now manifested, you believe it so wholeheartedly that you will kill yourself over it. You will throw yourself into the pit of hell to be the martyr. I know because I did it on my spirituality. Please stop. You don't have to kill yourself. You just have to not agree with these seeds of fear. So who is it that you follow that is constantly telling you the same crap? Tim Walz is horrific. I cannot even tell you. I know why they're fighting in Minnesota. Because they look to this man and the mayor that literally plant these seeds of fear in their minds. They think they have to fight for their neighbors to not get taken by the Gestapo. People, oh my God, please, you got to open your eyes. You got to start doing research. You got to look at it from a bigger, like, think of the bigger picture, you know? All right. I just, I feel like I've been so silent for so long about this and about my story. And there's more things that I agreed to. But what I want to share is if you're feeling that fire that breathes up in you, that is hell. Okay. And you're chained to it until you disagree with it. So, whatever it is, okay, you look at it and you have to say, this is what is firing me up. I am so fired up right now that I want to go out there and do something, fight about it, whatever. Is that in my best interest? For one. Number two, let me do a little bit more research. Number three, is that really what I feel in my heart? Like, get out of your mind. You've got to get out of your mind and get into your heart. That's a hard thing to do because we're all conditioned to be in our minds 24/7. Look around you. Is anything really going on? Are you the one that needs to stand in between law enforcement and nobody? No, stop. Okay. It's hard though. You're probably feeling like, if you're even watching this, you're probably feeling like, no, I don't like that. Okay. Use your critical mind. Think outside the box. Go into a meditation and ask yourself for the discernment. Stop just following these leaders who are planting seeds of fear in your mind, because that fear is what will have you act. Okay. So I love the Bible. I love what Jesus's message was because it is exactly in line with my spirituality and everything that I learned. I didn't understand, and I do not agree with fear anymore. It's hard to understand what fear is when it's coming at you. It is very hard. So I always ask myself, meditate on it, journal it, know what I feel is right for me. But that was never right for me. Religion was never right for me. I didn't understand that the seeds of fear created hell in your life, and the seeds of love can create heaven in your life. What is love? Okay. It is acceptance. I accept all Democrats for who they are. It is compassion, understanding. I understand why you would feel the way that you do because it happened to me in a different way. It did happen to me a little bit politically, but I had to look at a few things from a higher perspective. I did feel, actually, I want to say this. I did feel that Biden was like going to destroy the country. And every time I felt like that, now he did open the border, which that was true. And he did let in a lot of people who we don't know what their intentions are. That's a problem. Okay. But I felt like they were going to destroy the United States. But when I kind of look back at everything and I'm like, no, we have a judicial branch, we have an executive branch, we have a executive, judicial, legislative branch. Okay. And everything in those has protections and cautions. And we have a constitution and we can take any civil liberties that we feel to court. And that made me relax and remember that, oh, wait a minute, that's not going to happen. So there kind of was that fear, I guess, that was planted in me a little bit. And that wasn't from any political leader, honestly. I just kind of felt that, which was interesting. And every time he did try to do some big policy that really was against our Constitution, the Supreme Court stopped it. That's the opposite with Trump. If you look at everything that is being challenged in the Supreme Court, Trump, more than 9 times out of 10, the Supreme Court sides with him. And there's a reason for that. Okay, so like look at the discernment of that. You guys, we have those systems in place to take care of things. What I'm talking about is the politicians who aren't really doing their jobs. They're literally screaming about one man and how evil and how awful and what that this man is trying to destroy you. And they all say it at the exact same time, but they're like, my Democratic leaders here, they're not talking about anything to do with New Mexico. Nothing. Zero. It is literally plant a seed of Trump fear, plant a seed of Trump fear, plant a seed of Trump fear. If you have to say, I don't agree with that, because what happens is that seed will manifest in your life in some way, shape, or form. And all it does is destroy you and get you to believe in this cult like mentality that you can only trust these people now. You can only listen to what they say. Oh my God, they're all saying the same thing. I can only believe them. No. So I really hope that this helps. If you read this book, The Four Agreements, it literally, hopefully, with what I'm saying is my personal experiences, like one of the agreements is don't take anything personally. That was a hard one for me. I could not understand that. But over the last 12 years, I have learned that it is just like whatever, if it's some negativity we're spewing towards someone else, it's our own fear. It literally has nothing to do with them. And they have the choice whether to accept it or disagree. But it is very hard when it comes from your close family, when it comes from your government leaders that you have voted for, that you want to believe are in there honestly, it's just really sad. And I hope that I just got to keep talking about how important it is to disagree with the fear, the doubt, the division. You've got to disagree with it. You have got to disagree with it so that you don't become divided in your own self. That's where hell comes in. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. Bye.